All right, today we're doing simplifying rational expressions. All right, if we remembered from yesterday, a rational number is fancy for a fraction. And you've been reducing fractions since third grade. Now, I know for the most part you didn't reduce fractions like this, but I'm going to show you. 3 times 4 is another way to factor 12. 3 times 9 is another way to factor 27. We cross off the 3's and our answer is 4/9. I know most of you say 3 goes into 12 4 times, 3 goes into 27 9 times, and we get the same answer. Well, that's great, but it leads to a little bit of a problem sometimes in Algebra 2. So you're going to see me using this factoring method to cancel things down from now on. So that leads us to what we're doing today. We are working with rational expressions, and notice how this is different from 12 over 27. I have a variable in it. That's why it's an expression, because it's not full numbers. So if I wanted to reduce this, I'm going to use that same factoring form up above. 2 times x is how I get 2x, and 2 times 3 is how I get 6. I cross off what's a common factor, and I get x over 3. And you can see, there it is, right there. And I'm going to try and keep using that word factor, because factor means two numbers that multiply to get a third number. And factoring is so huge in math, from now right through calculus. You have to be able to factor, 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 do it quickly. So we are starting with the little itty bitty, getting you ready for calculus. So tonight's homework is not that hard. You're going to reduce, simplify. These are all words that they could use in a book, but they all mean the same thing. Reduce and simplify this expression. So we have to know our types of factoring to do this, because remember, when you're reducing, you're really factoring and then crossing out the common factors so you can reduce it. So I have listed up here our 4 types of factoring if we ever have to go back to them. So let's try this number 1. 3ab is really 3 times a times b. Now the reason I am stressing the word factor, and this is incorrect, what I'm going to show you right now, most kids do a squared minus, oh, this is easy, the a's cancel out and I'm left with 3b over a squared. This is so easy. No, 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 you cannot do that. You must cancel only like factors. You didn't factor anything there. 3 times a times b. There, I factored. I have to factor the bottom. I'm going to do greatest common factor first. A minus 1. Now, on the bottom here, I have 2 factors. The first factor is a, and the second factor is a minus 1. Now, up here I have 3 factors. Are any one of these factors the same as down here? Yes, this is a factor of a, and this is a factor of a. This is a factor of a minus 1. So I'm left with 3b, and on the bottom, a minus 1. And if you want to be really professional, you would say a could not equal 1. Because if a equaled 1, then you would get a denominator of 0. Also, a could not be 0 because if you went back here, 0 minus 0 gets you 0. But that's not tonight's homework. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, the second one. We want to reduce this fraction also. We go through our steps. Is there a greatest common factor? Nope. Is it a difference of two perfect squares? Nope. Is it trinomial factoring? No. No factor by grouping. Actually, this one was totally factored. Y minus 2. On the bottom, hopefully now you're pretty good with your types of factoring. You realize that it's a trinomial factor. So I'm going to set up my trinomial factors. See, there's two parentheses. That means two factors. First one is y minus 2, and the next one is y minus 3. Is this top one, which is a factor, common to a factor down here? Yep. So they can cross off, but careful. I'm left with 1 over y minus 3. And again, if you want to get really fancy, y cannot equal 2, and y can't equal a 3, because if I put a 2 or 3 into here, I'd get a 0 in the denominator. Okay, let's go through here. Notice I have a little star over here. Let's pull out that star and see what it says. You cannot cancel part of a monomial with a polynomial. That means, like I said above, you can't do this. Hey, this math's really easy. My answer is negative 12. You didn't factor. You can only cancel factors. You can't cancel parts. That's like me saying, you know what? I need to go on a diet. Let me cut off my legs. Hey, good for me. I just lost 15 pounds. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to factor, decrease evenly. Let's get rid of all this. And I can't stress enough the word factor. I will factor the top. And now I have two factors. I have a factor of 3, and I have a factor of x minus 4. Let's see what I have on the bottom. I have a factor of 3 and a factor of x. Those are my factors. Do I have any common factors? Yes, 3. So my final answer is x minus 4 over x. That's your answer. You cannot cancel these x's because that would be part of a polynomial. This is a polynomial. Canceling with a monomial. No. These are not factors. This is one whole factor and this is another whole factor, and they're not the same. One is x and one is 4 less than x. So they can't cancel any which way. This is your final answer. All right, just 2 more examples and then we're done. So let's do this. Let's come over here. Let's grab this. Bring it over to our next page. And again, let's start factoring. Greatest common factor. Here, it's 2. We're done. We have 2 factors here. A factor of 2 and a factor of 4 minus x. Let's factor the bottom. It's a trinomial. X, x. two numbers that multiply to 16 but are -8 away from each other? Well, that would be a -4 and a -4. And if you've noticed what's cool about this section that you're in, let's remember, you're only in high school. I'm not saying that as an insult. You're young, you're in high school, you're learning math. When they do this, they always set it up so that when you do trinomial factoring, one of the factors is always the same on top and bottom. So if you were struggling to figure out what times what gets you 16 but are 8 away from each other, you could have just cheated and looked up here and saw the 4 and the x and go, oh wait, it's x minus 4. All right, so over here now I've got two factors. One is x minus 4, and now as I put my multiplication sign because that means factor, and the other factor is x minus 4. Now it looks like I can do some canceling, and I can. If you remember from geometry, x minus 4 and 4 minus x cancel out to a -1. Just to do a real quick version of that. All right. Oops, let me do that again. X minus 4, 4 minus x equal -1. Well, let's think of some numbers. Let's put a 5 in there. 4 minus 5, 5 minus 4. See what I get? Let's put a 7 in there. 4 minus 7, 7 minus 4, -3/3. That's going to work with any two numbers when you reverse them. Let's pick a random number. My favorite number, 25, minus 15. Now on the bottom, let's reverse that. Let's do 15 minus 25. And I get 10 over -10. Right? So whenever you have two numbers subtracted, and then you reverse the numbers but still subtract, it's always the equivalent of -1. And that's a common SAT question also. So getting back to this problem, our answer is -2 on top, and on bottom we're left with x minus 4. And if I had to go back and do my little fancy math, which you haven't learned yet, x cannot be 4. Because 4 minus 4 would get you 0. All right, last question. Now, we could have taken this the hard way. Change my pen color. Or we could take it the easy way. Hard way. Five minus 5b plus 15. We distributed. All right, so that's 5 plus 15 is 20 minus 5b. Okay, now I'm going to factor that 5, 4 minus b. Hard way. Easy way. I look at this and I see I have one term and I have another term. So I'm going to factor out a 5. And I'm left with 1 minus b plus, and if I factor a 5 out of 15, 3. Clean that up. 1 plus 3 is 4 minus b. I get the same answer. There or there. So who cares which way you do it? Whichever way makes sense to you, that's fine. So let's just kind of finish up this problem so we can get done with this video. We both ways figured out the top to be 5 times 4 minus b. And let's factor the bottom. That's a difference of two perfect squares. So that's b minus 4, b plus 4. I'm going to see, do I have any factors that are in common? All right, I have a factor of 5. Nope. I got a factor of 4 minus b. Yep, that's the same as b minus 4, but backwards. So voila, I cancel to a negative 1. I have no other common factors, so it's 5 negative over b plus 4. And if I had to do my fancy math, I come back to my original and I say b cannot be a 4 or a negative 4, or this fraction would be impossible. Okay, enjoy your 4-day weekend.